Good afternoon and welcome to Argyle TV. We are 3 games into the new season now, but this weekend in particular marks a poignant event for Plymouth. It has been 1 year this weekend since the harrowing events that happened in Keyham. A tragedy that rocked the city, but it's one that also brought it together, and today we will remember those that we lost.
Six people have died in a shooting in Plymouth, police have confirmed.
The way that the community came together, the way the fans showed the respect. I think it was the Gillingham game, wasn't it? It was brilliant, and it just shows what the city of Plymouth's all about.
It was, I don't even know how to describe it, when you heard the news it was a bit like, you don't expect that down here, and our talk yesterday was, we're not coming off this pitch without 3 points, and I'd like to dedicate my goal in this win to all the families there that tragically lost their lives.
On Saturday, minute silence, that, everyone will pay their respects.
It's been 1 year since those tragic scenes in Keyham, and it doesn't get any easier no matter how much time passes. The reaction from the city in the aftermath, including here at Home Park, did just go to show, though, how close the community is and how important it is that we all look after each other. And before we get stuck in with the match coverage today, it's important to take a moment to reflect and look back at how everyone is and how we've developed over the past 12 months. So I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by Arthur Good, the chaplain here at Argyle. Arthur, it's kind of hard to imagine that it's been 12 months since we saw those things happening. Can you just reflect on the atmosphere exactly 1 year ago when these really shocking scenes were unfolding for everyone?
1 year ago, we were here talking, weren't we, about this sort of time, and the city was in shock. And it's hard to describe that sense of shock, but also that sense of sharing this together. Obviously, the community of Keyham was the most impacted, obviously, but all of us as a city felt it, and there was a wonderful coming together just to stand by each other. I remember we had a candlelit vigil in our church premises, as many other churches did, and people just came and sat. We didn't want to talk, we didn't want to pray, we just wanted to sit with each other, and it was a really poignant evening. Yeah,
and I mean, it's so important to remember that while Plymouth as a whole will move on and understand this, for the families and those that were directly involved, those feelings, those emotions will always be with them, and it will always be difficult for them. How, as a wider community, do you think we can kind of talk and, develop from this as a whole?
Well, I think talking, that you mentioned that, there is a sense with grief that the rest of the world after a while gets back to normal and carries on, and you're still left waking up every day with that feeling. So being able to talk again, and this just to come up to the surface, I think it's a really helpful thing and an important thing 1 year on.
Yeah, and like you said, grief is different for everyone, isn't it? There will be completely different ways that people process their grief and deal with their grief. And I remember you saying last year, even people in this Argyle community that weren't directly affected, they did take a moment to pause and reflect and process their own grief, didn't they?
Yeah, it connects with all of us. And everyone has a different story, a different way of processing, a different experience that's personal to them, and a different timeline as well. Things happen at different paces, and to anybody who's suffering grief of any kind, I would always say be kind to yourself and accept where you're at. Don't try and force it. Don't think, I should be like this, I should be like that. Just say, this is how it is. Yeah. Let's deal with it right now.
Yeah. And I think it's important that on this year anniversary we take a moment to acknowledge what happened, and while it is important to move on and if you can grow, learn, take positives from it in the sense that the community came together, but it's also important to remember that people will deal with it differently. And here at Argyle we'll be having a minute silence, won't we, just before kick-off, and things like that are just important for the city to pay tribute.
It is, and to say that we're here with you, we support you and you're part of us and we're part of you. There's a lot that's happened in Keyham over this last year. Lots of different groups have been doing different things. I've spoken to a number of people that both live there and have been involved in the response, and it's ongoing because this is a deep trauma that isn't going to be fixed in 6 months or a year. It is going to be ongoing, and we want to see a sense of revival in that community, and to recognise that what was going on there is also going on in other places as well, and just to shine a light on it and just say, hey, how can we help you?
Yes. Yeah, that's important, the offering of the help. And people may have noticed yesterday Home Park was lit up green, and it will be again this afternoon. So if you are in the area and you perhaps maybe just want to take a moment to reflect on this 1 year anniversary, whether that be in silence, on your own, in thought, that is available for you to do. And like me and Arthur have just mentioned, there will be a minute's silence just before kick-off as well. Thank you for joining us, Arthur, and just taking a moment to talk about grief and how we deal with it, because I think it's really important. Moving on to this afternoon and the match, we're just 3 days into our Carabao Cup exit on Wednesday, and Peterborough United are back in town.
But Argyle coming forward. Ennis does really well. Jeffcott on the left-hand side. Ennis goes in field again as Jeffcott goes for goal. Strike it as cleanly as he can, and it was comfortable enough for Bergstrom in the end, but first shot in anger really behind him, and loses out actually in the middle of midfield, and Jones has a chance with a shot on the left-hand side, and he scores. It's a lovely finish from Ricky J. Jones. Well, Ennis just spins away from Knight, finds Jeffcott on the left-hand side. Endicott goes beyond him. Read the Argyle line-up for you in a moment. Endicott stabs the ball up from the dead ball, and Ennis is what a save that is from Bergstrom. That's an incredible stop from the Peterborough goalkeeper. Ennis free down the left-hand side. I think he's going to get there before Thompson, is he? He does. He breaks in field. Ennis, can he get a shot away? Instead he goes square. Azaz with the strike. Oh, it's just over the top. Venomous hit from Finn Azaz.
He's back involved in getting the ball now.
Short corner is Whittaker, corner of the penalty area, lovely reverse ball. Azaz drops his shoulder, left foot strike towards goal, and again Bergstrom has to dive across, this time to his right to keep the ball out of play.
Certainly deserve it.
Whittaker, lovely flick on, down the right hand side, Azaz is freed. Hardy's in the middle, low ball towards Hardy, cleared, Whittaker with the shot! And again he can't.
Well, that's offside by
Thompson,
the way.
long ball over the top, frees Taylor, low ball into the middle, Jones is there, what a save from Cooper. Comes flying out, big frame, and blocks the effort at point blank range.
Keeper's coming up.
Well, Mike Cooper had a huge chance at the end of that Fleetwood game. Yeah. And he's coming forward again. The corner's been taken short. Cooper's now got into position in the middle. Edwards, 25 yards from goal, attempts to strike it. It's blocked, and now Peterborough have a 3-on-2 situation. Cooper miles out of his goal. Taylor goes for it. 45 yards, edging towards goal and in the bottom corner. And that will finish this tie.
An ultimately disappointing night had by us there, but plenty of positives for Stephen Schumacher. Today is a new day though, a new competition and a new chance to change those wrongs into rights. And joining me ahead of this afternoon's game is Brian McGlinchey. Hello, Brian.
Afternoon.
Hot enough for you?
Very hot. I'm in shorts, so yes. Last time I turned up, I was in a duffel coat and everything.
I remember, you had your jumper and it was almost as...
I got the weather warning today.
You're dressed for the weather, which is good to see. Ready, raring to go for this afternoon's game?
Yeah, I can't wait, to be honest. I was here for the first game of the season. For me, it was a really good performance for the first game of the season. I know the second league game was a bit disappointing, but this could be a tough game today.
Yeah. What are your thoughts ahead of this one then? Because... of course, we've already played Peterborough this week, in fact, and lost. Do you think that will have any bearing on going into this game?
It'll have a bearing in the sense you don't want to lose games. You want to get back on the winning trail. So yeah, they'll learn from it. Obviously, the patterns of play that Peterborough played on the midweek will be similar to what they do today. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of changes because both teams have exercised their squads, which is sensible.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to have any bearing on the result or anything. It'd be more around the motivation, to get back on that winning streak, really. Yeah.
I suppose then could the loss almost be taken as a slight positive in that it will give Argyle even more of a desire to make sure a repeat doesn't happen again?
100%. That will, in any football manager, any football team will want to bounce back, and it should give you the motivation.
Yeah.
But I think with good players coming back like Mayer and Azaz and the formation that they've maybe moved to from last year, I think with the crowd getting behind them, I think this should be a different game today, I think, from midweek.
Yeah, and we saw quite a few changes in those games, and changes again coming today now that we are back to a league setup. So let's have a little look at the team news for you this afternoon. Your starting 11 today consists of Michael Cooper, Macaulay Gillespie, Jordan Houghton, James Wilson, Dan Scarr, Joe Edwards, Ryan Hardy, Danny Mayer, Ballymumba, Finn Azaz and Adam Randall. What do you make of the starting 11, Brian? Do you think that's a pretty solid way to get underway?
It's what I expected, to be honest. I think the sort of big decision really for the manager was Houghton or Butcher, and obviously he's gone for Houghton from last season, so and rightly so. I think Houghton had a really good season. Great to see Randall's kept his place as well. But you expect Mayer to come back, Mumba come back, Azaz to come back, and Hardy go up front as well. So yeah, that's probably his strongest lineup at the moment for me. And what I like about the lineup as well is the bench. The really good options going forward on the bench with Ennis, and Whittaker as well. So good options in the sense that maybe change it and Jeffcott to maybe if things aren't going well, give something Peterborough different to think about. Yeah,
and it's nice to see, like you said, new names in there, familiar names in there. One name that has been, I would say, generating a fair bit of buzz the start of the season is Finn Azaz. Are you excited to see him come out and play?
Yeah, I did. I thought the Barnsley game of first 10-15 minutes, I thought he gave a few straight passes, but then when he scored that goal, his game went to strength to strength, and he was probably one of the better players on the pitch on the day. I thought he looked real good quality.
Yeah.
You can see why a lot of clubs wanted him on loan this year, and if you're at Aston Villa, you've got that pedigree, that Premiership pedigree. So yeah, it would be good to see him and it's good to see the way Argyle are playing with the two number 10s, supporting Hardy as well with Mayer and him, so they're higher up the pitch, and that could work to their benefit today.
Do you think it drives the players as well, having brought on these new members of the Argyle squad that are clearly willing and wanting to make a solid impact and deliver? Does it kind of make sure everyone's battling out to make sure they get the game and get the best game? Yeah,
it's tough, very tough. Competition for places is rife in any club, but it's important you have it because that sort of gets your performances at the right level. If you're on edge and you're looking over your shoulder who's coming in behind you for your shirt, that's important. So because it just gives you that extra 10-15% that maybe if you're a bit complacent you don't have.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at Peterborough's squad now as well. We have got their starting 11 consisting of Lucas Bergstrom, Ronnie Edwards, Josh Knight, Frankie Kent, Jack Taylor, Johnson Clark Harris, Jack Marriott, Harrison Burrows, Hector, now I want to say Cipriano, and I hope that's right, Joe Ward and Ben Thompson. So again, slightly different from the team that Argyle played earlier in the week. But you said before, Brian, about there will be a certain level of familiarity having played Peterborough twice in 1 week. Will it make that much difference with the swapped players?
Yeah, well, I think the front two will make a massive difference. And the Clark Harris and Marriott are really, really top level in this league, to be honest. So, yeah, I've watched Clark Harris play for Bristol Rovers, and he scored a screamer in this end here against Argyle. So he's a top player, and Marriott's a really good player at this level. I'm really interested to see Ronnie Edwards. There's a lot of talk around him. He's an England under-19 international. A lot of clubs looking at him. I think Chelsea are looking at him as well. So really interested to see what he looks like. Haven't seen much of him. Yeah. And they're goalkeepers from Chelsea as well. So they've got a really strong team out there today. Yeah. So interested to see how it sort of transpires. And
I guess quite a luxury for Grant McCann to be able to make the 7 changes between Wednesday and now, and then win on Wednesday, and then still have a stronger say team come out this afternoon.
That's the perfect sort of scenario for any manager, to be honest. You give players a rest, and then the guys that come in do a good job and get a result for you. But look, they've obviously come down from the Championship. They've got Championship pedigree, probably a far bigger budget than Argyle. Yeah. So but for me, we get this crowd behind this. Argyle get on the front foot, get the crowd behind them, fast start. This will be a difficult afternoon for Peterborough.
Absolutely, and I think on a day like today, it's safe to say the 12th man, the Green Army, will be a very big factor this afternoon. Let's hear from Stephen Schumacher now then, and he spoke to Charlie Price yesterday morning.
So we had a good day yesterday to look at the game back and go over a few things. It was a tough game. Obviously we knew Peterborough were the top side, and thought for the first half of the game they were the better team, although we did get better slightly towards the end of the first half, and then second half we caused them a few problems. So yeah, we're expecting another tough one. They'll make a few changes, they'll strengthen their team, so yeah, it'll be another hard game.
Yeah, we had a close look at them. Obviously, the work that you guys do behind the scenes anyway would have kind of looked at how they played. They're the only team in the league with 6 points so far. They've scored 3 in both their league games as well. They've got some firepower, haven't they? But
yeah, got unbelievable firepower. Probably, you would say, the 2 best strikers in the league in Marriott and Clark Harris, and strength in depth. So, got to remember they were a championship team last season. Come down, always do well in League One, score loads of goals. So yeah, 6 points, and I think they've scored 6 goals in the 2 league games as well. So yeah, we're under no illusions. It's a tough task, but as I said the other night, I thought we did okay, and we caused them problems, and probably should have got something from that game. And we're going to have to be at it again to get something from this one.
It's still very, very early season, still in the first month of it. It's only our second game here. Is it a case of kind of you and the players still just getting up to speed with where we should be, do you think?
Probably, yeah. I think the season starting as well a week earlier than last time, maybe. But it's always a bit like this early on in the season. It's a bit, you need 3 or 4 games as a player to feel as though you're match fit and you're ready. I think the performances have been okay. We played really well against Barnsley, not so good against Fleetwood, and I thought we played well the other night. So we're in the swing of things. Everything's going the way we sort of wanted it. It's not going to be perfect after 2-3 games, but just got to keep working hard and keep trying to get things right.
You mentioned they might make a few changes into this game. You made quite a few on Wednesday. There were some good performances in there as well from guys that haven't maybe played as many minutes this season. How were you happy with that, and how have they gone since as well in training?
Yeah, it was great to get people on the pitch. Obviously Brendan Galloway was the major positive. To get him over an hour of competitive football was great. And then Nigel as well, thought he done brilliantly at centre back. So gives us a headache and a selection problem whenever we know he's capable. So that's good. But yeah, it was important to think that we did give people an opportunity to stake a place in the team. And as you said, there was a few good performances, 1 or 2 that we would like to have done slightly better as well. But it's what you have a squad for. So we used our squad on Wednesday night, and we'll have to use it again on Saturday.
I'm sure you will, because of the heat as well. I mean, we saw on Wednesday that drinks break halfway through the first half, and I think that's coming in again, isn't it, for the next few weeks. If it's over 30 degrees, the referee will make the decision to do it. You've been training in it, and we were out in Spain in similar heat. How much of an effect does the prolonged heat have, do you think?
Obviously, I think the players just need to take on more fluid. It's one of them, you kind of forget about it, I think, when you're playing. Once you're in the game, you've just got to concentrate on the game. You don't worry about how hot it is and what time the drinks break is. It's just one of them, you just got to get on with it. Like, we'll obviously have to monitor what we do today with the players. We won't be able to keep them out in the heat for too long and standing around, because that just wouldn't be sensible. So we just modify the training sessions, make sure that they're short and sharp and to the point, and then when game day comes, sorry lads if it's hot, but you've just got to get through it.
I'm pleased to say that we are now joined by Brian McGlinchey's twin, Ian Stonebridge. Is there a memo that I missed out on today, or?
Yeah, thanks, Erin. I'm quite pleased actually to be, turning out the same as such a well-dressed gentleman as Brian McGlinchey. He seems to be getting angrier every time someone mentions it, though. So I'm not sure whether I should take that as an insult.
I'm going to say nothing, actually.
We'll make sure we slide in a few more outfit comments before this is over. Don't worry, Brian. Ian, Stephen Schumacher in that VT that everyone just watched at home talked about being a little bit more ruthless in front of goal. Something you agree with?
Yeah, definitely. I think the point out of Wednesday night's game was that plenty of chances were created, and it's just that quality of making the goalkeeper work, getting things on target first of all, and hopefully being more clinical and playing a formation like we are at the moment. It's really important that they capitalise on those creative opportunities. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And people who were there for that match would have seen Argyle weren't short of chances. It's just the chances kept flying slightly over the crossbar there. So when he's saying ruthless, what's your interpretation of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's about everyone taking responsibility, I think. So although the onus is obviously on strikers to produce the goals, in this formation, there's the opportunity for lots of players to get forward. So obviously, today, Finn Azaz and Danny Mayer playing behind Ryan Hardy, there's an onus on those two. But also the two in midfield does mean that one of those two, Adam Randall, Jordan Houghton today, has the bit more of a licence to go forward and be a threat. So we might see opportunities from them, around the edge of the box as well. We know about our wing backs and their kind of keenness to get forwards and be on the end of crosses. So, there should be a goal threat from all over the pitch, and it's just a case of them making sure they hit the target.
Yeah. Do you think it's maybe taking a while for the players to get used to a new formation? I mean, Brian, you spoke before when we were talking about the squad today. We've got loads of great players vying for a chance to be on the pitch, but it seems like the formation has changed slightly this season.
Yeah, I think he wants to be higher up the pitch. I think he wants to try and get Mayer and Azaz up supporting Hardy. And that's good. And that's for me. That's important. Ironically, when they scored the goal against Barnsley, it was Mayer picking the ball up a bit deeper. So yeah, it just causes teams problems. I think you've got to be pragmatic. You can't be the same formation all the time. And I think teams will watch this last year, and we've got to do something different because teams work you out, and you've got to have options. You can't be predictable. Yeah. So good options from the bench as well, and that's what I like. Good forward options, but as Stoney said, it's about being clinical in front of goal, hitting the target and making the goalkeeper work. That's the important thing. Yeah,
and you mentioned Barnsley as well, and they were really good here against Barnsley, but it just seems like maybe in the midfield area they're not quite hitting the same heights as we started off with.
Yeah, well, I can only think back to my career. You're probably not fit to 5-6 games in, to be honest. And it's a hot day. Honestly, it's really tough the first 3-4 games. You're only finding your feet, and you're getting that sort of fluidity back, and and it is difficult, but. I thought for a first game of the season against Barnsley, I thought they were very good. Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Ian, based on what you've seen for the start of the season so far?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. So we've obviously got a team getting used to a new shape and a slightly new system, but you've also got quite a tough start in terms of our fixtures. So coming up against Barnsley, coming up against Peterborough, both teams who have come down last year. So they're teams that are going to be looking to challenge at the right end of the season. So we're trying to put something new into practice, but you're coming up against teams who want it their own way as well. And this will obviously be another really tough test today.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a tough enough test on its own. We've got to factor in the weather, surely, because, I mean, it's fairly obvious to everyone watching. I've never played football in my life, but you two both have. What is it like playing in conditions, this hot? Because it's boiling.
It is, yeah. Me and Brian were debating it. I don't remember playing in a game where it's as hot as it is today. There is, we can see by the flags on top of the Lyndhurst, there is quite a breeze coming across. So whether that makes its way to the pitch at all, I'm not sure. I think maybe this new subs rule this year, so the ability for the managers to utilise more of those players on the bench could be a really key factor in today, particularly if the game is still close going into the second half.
Yeah. Brian, how would you rate playing in this kind of heat?
I hated it. I think it's being Irish and being a bit... But it was horrible. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
I think the key thing is keeping the ball. I think the more times you can keep possession and make the other team run and work, that's the difference. And you'll probably find the last 20 minutes of this game today will be quite open.
Yeah.
And that's where you can win and lose the game. If you've got a bit more left in the tank, you can go for it. So definitely make the ball do the work today.
I suppose, because when you say running around in this kind of heat, you're thinking about the physicality element, but there must be a sort of mental element as well, because having that kind of heat, can it maybe cause you to lose concentration slightly, things like that?
Yeah, what tiredness does, doesn't it? That's what pre-season's designed to do. They went away and trained in Spain, didn't they? And they sort of getting used to those conditions.
Yeah.
So you are like running hard in pre-season, playing a game maybe at night time. So your body's sort of used to that sort of exertion. So, but you're right. It's about keeping mentally right and being focused, because that's where you can lose games very easily by lack of concentration. So. Yeah, that's the bit I'm not jealous about, is playing games days like this.
Yeah, I certainly don't envy them, put it that way. Don't forget as well, if you would like to get in touch with us and let us know your comments on what you're expecting for the game, what you've seen so far, or anything in between, you can get in touch with us on our social media pages. The best one, as always, is Twitter, and that is @Argyle, or you can use the hashtag PAFC. Shoot us a tweet and we will be able to have a little look at it at half-time. Well, I believe I'll be joined by you, Brian, and we can look through all the lovely photos and tweets that get sent to us and give you a shout out if you want one. I believe I saw someone before the game tweeting all the way from Cyprus. Hope it's as hot as it is here where you are, so you can have a lovely holiday. Now let's take a look at the top end of the pitch then. 2 goals from the opening 3 games so far, and Steven Schumacher is wanting his players to start taking chances. Ryan Hardy got off the mark last week and is looking to get another one today.
Last season I had a successful season, probably because of my start, and as you say, this year I've got going in the second game, so hopefully I can continue to add to that this year, add to the tally. And as you say, I scored a couple against Peterborough last year, so it'd be nice to repeat that.
Do you ever have like a bunny team where you think you're always going to score against them? Although knowing you probably think you're going to score in every game.
Yeah, as you just said there, I go into most games feeling confident that I'll go and score a goal, because the team that I play on creates a lot of chances, so it's up to me to put the ball away. So I do, as you say, go into a lot of games, most of the games, 99% of the games, confident that I will score, so hopefully it'll be no different tomorrow.
Having played Peterborough so recently, albeit in a different competition and lots of changes were made, how much can you read into that game to how they're going to play again this weekend?
Yeah, I think it shows that that both sides are attacking. They both want to play free-flowing football and score some goals, so I think it will be an exciting game. As you said regarding the changes, there probably will be a lot of changes for both sides, you never know, but I don't think it'll disrupt the game too much. I don't think it'll be much different, so as I said, it'll be 2 teams wanting to go and win, and they're obviously looking to keep their start to the season going, but we're obviously looking to kick-start ours again after the defeat last weekend.
This one kind of has a bit of a feel to it, like the first game of the season against Barnsley, a relegated side coming down against us who are hungry to be at the right end of the table.
Yeah, it does. It's 2 teams that should be at the top end of the table, so as I said, it should be an exciting game, and hopefully one that we come out on top of.
You kind of alluded to it, the way we play, and it's well known that we like to play good football, but this year has been a slight change of formation. It's kind of affected you a bit as well, because you're now a 1, I suppose, up front, rather than the 2. How have you kind of felt it's all worked?
Yeah, as I said in the interview before, most of my career I've played as a 2, and I've enjoyed playing as a 2. Playing as a 1, you always feel quite isolated, but in this formation it's so much different. There's as I said, there's a couple of 10s that play higher up the park. It's basically a 3 that you play up front, so there's more support than there would be even playing as a 2, so I'm really enjoying it this year. There should be hopefully a lot more chances that we'll get, because the 10s get on the ball a lot. It's a bit of a free roam, to be fair. One can end up in the middle, one can end up in the right, one can end up in the left, so now I really am enjoying it, and as I say, for the first time as a 1, it's an enjoyable formation to play in.
Yeah, and on those 2 10s as well, in the 2 league games, it's been Danny and Finn, and there probably aren't many more creative players in this division than those 2, are there?
No, you're absolutely right. The boys have been different class, and since Finn came in, you can see his qualities. He likes to get on it in half turn and play forward quite early, so that's something that something I'm on board with. That's what I like doing. Getting any chance I get, can run in behind, and he likes to thread them balls through. And obviously, as you know, with Dan, we've seen him for years and years do the same thing. He's a threat in the final third, and it just attracts defenders and leaves space for me to run in behind.
Ryan Hardy is always confident, isn't he? And in getting his first goal last week will have been important for him and for the club. How important do you think he is to Argyle squad?
He is really important, and I think particularly in this new system where he's kind of 1 up front with 2 players in behind him, his ability to stretch the defence, make runs in behind, ideally force the opposition to drop off a little bit, might then create that space for Danny Mayer and Finn Azaz to get on the ball where we want them in those dangerous areas. So not only his finishing, but his ability to stretch defences, I think, is important.
Yeah, and we were saying before that Steven Schumacher is trying out like new formations in 2 strikers versus 1 striker. How well suited do you think that is to the players, and how well suited is it to the play?
Yeah. I think the jury's still out on that, because it's such an early time in the season. I think we need to wait and see, how that develops over time, who becomes suited to those roles, who does well in those roles, and ultimately it's for those that are in the team to stake a claim, whether it's by scoring goals in Ryan Hardy's case or creating them in the case of those players playing just behind him.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a preference on what you think is the best option, or like you said, is the best option perhaps trying different things out at this point of the season before deciding?
Yeah, I think I've been really impressed with Finn Azaz since he came in on loan, and I think if we can find a formation that allows us to have him and Danny Mayer in the team, particularly here at home where we might need to be more creative and go at teams a bit more, I think that's a good thing. As we said, over time, and I think Brian's alluded to it already, a bit more flexibility and having 2 different systems or more that we can call call on when needed,
Yeah.
is going to probably be needed across the season. Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Brian? It is more about the flexibility rather than just, sticking to a particular formation straight away. It's having the options to play around and discover what works as we progress.
Yeah, I think, he's obviously very rigid with his back three, isn't he? He wants that formation, but I think he's trying to be a bit more creative higher up the pitch, and he's just trying different options to work. For me, like, you think about it, Mayer and Azaz, there's probably not many better ball players in this league than them. So if we can get them on the ball higher up the pitch and in on goal, for me, that's brilliant. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
That's obviously going to have consequences at other parts of the park because you're maybe going to have weaknesses elsewhere. But especially with Stoney said at home, when we've got to take the game to teams, that's really important. So, yeah. And the great thing is the options from the bench, because then he's got out-and-out strikers then with Jeff Cobb, Whittaker with a bit more pace running behind. But I think you're right. Hardy, that's his game, running in the channels. So, and he stretches teams. So, yeah, I think he's the right player for this formation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then with the substitutions, like you mentioned, does that then almost act as a little bit more of a threat to the opposition because you can kind of change exactly what's happening up front, in a second?
I think this 5 subs rule is definitely will make a big difference. Yeah, so you can change games. You can bring on 2 strikers and you can play 3 up front. You could do a whole host of different things. You can chase games now a lot better. You can, it's a better thing for football, I think, bringing that options in. But time will tell. Stoney said the jury's still out, though. Yeah.
Well, Ian, you're going to leave us for a second because you're on commentary duty this afternoon. But before you go, what are you hoping to see from this game? Hopefully a different to the one that we saw on Wednesday.
Yeah, definitely. I think if Argyle can take that positive performance in terms of the creativity and make sure they tighten up. Peterborough have got a pretty fearsome attack. We know that. They've scored goals at a higher level, so it's going to be a real challenge for Argyle to keep them at bay today. But we can be positive going in the other direction and create some chances. We know the fans will get behind them, and hopefully it can be then a positive outcome.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ian. We are now half an hour away from kickoff here at Argyle TV, and Ryan Brunt will be coming in to join the discussion just after this.
Bad ball in,
Nice look at some of the kit there. So asked for your social comments, and don't forget you can get in touch with us on Twitter at Argyle and all the other platforms as well, Instagram, Facebook. We are around. Just been catching up with some of you beforehand. We've got one from SJ who is maybe not quite looking forward to the 30 degree heat that we'll be battling at home park this afternoon, but saying fully prepared as we can be, hats, water bottles and sun cream. They are hoping that most importantly the Argyle boys survive the heat and get those all important 3 points. And I mentioned before our watcher in Cyprus, that is Scott Williamson, saying good luck to Argyle today. Unfortunately I can't be there because I'm on holiday, but cheering nice and loud. And also Loz Argyle saying today is a huge game and it's important that we beat the posh and show we can compete with teams like them, and 3 points is vital. So make sure you stay in touch and send us your tweets as the match goes on. Like I said, me and Brian will be catching up at halftime and full time as well. Moving away from social comments though, I am joined by Ryan Brunt on Argyle TV this afternoon. Ryan, nice to meet you. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm very good, thank you. I've had a really good morning in the hospitality stand and seeing all the new improvements there. So I'm full with my nice food, and I'm enjoying. Looking forward to the game.
Looking forward to an afternoon today. You'll know that we've already played Peterborough this week. It didn't go quite as we hoped. What are your expectations going into today?
I don't know. I think I've played a few double headers in my time, and I think always the second one for the losing team. Hopefully, always. More often than not, turns out a little bit better. So, hopefully they get a good result today.
Good. Now, daylight today, lovely weather. It is a bit hot.
Lovely weather.
Do you miss playing on it's
You know
like
what?
today?
I do, and it is very, very hot. But the Saturdays, I miss really quite a lot. I think just coming out here and seeing the fans and seeing the atmosphere around the ground now. It's something I do quite. Wish I could do all again.
Yeah. Well, let's recap it for the people watching at home. Your Argyle experience and what you're up to now.
Yeah. So obviously I signed 2015, I think, or 2016 maybe. 2015. Came in and played a little bit under John Sheridan. Came in and out the team. Then obviously Derek Adams took over in the summer. Then it found didn't start straight away. And then basically found my form. Scored a few goals. Scored a few really important goals, quite memorable goals that people still to this day come and talk to me about.
That must be nice.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. But and then unfortunately, after a really good run of form, scoring a few goals, I did my cruciate ligament at Barnet away. And unfortunately, my career kind of halted very, very quickly, and probably my professional career as well that night kind of took a big hit. So yeah.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it hasn't really been that long for you since you were playing.
No. I feel Argyle, it's been a few years, but it feels like yesterday I was here, kind of thing, and on the treatment table with Abner, I can see. Yeah. I feel like it's not long, and I've still been involved with the club, which is good. On a business level, but it's come on leaps and bounds in a few years.
Yeah. So what are you up to now outside of playing for Argyle?
So I own a athlete recovery and performance business called Recover Fit. We work with elite level athletes all around the country. We're working with Argyle quite closely with cryotherapy chambers and Normatec recovery boots and things like that. So I'm linked in football. It's my passion, probably from being injured quite a lot in my career.
But I suppose that gives you an insight into doing what you do now.
And that's why people want to deal with me, because I have that experience, I have that reality of actually what they want. I'm not like a salesman trying to sell people something they don't need or want. So I'm enjoying it. I'm not playing at all, which is interesting, but I do miss the Saturdays for sure.
Well, as a relatively recent ex-Argyle squad member, what are you making of the current squad right now?
Well, I know a few of them, to be fair. I know a few of them playing against them. I know a few of them from being quite friendly with them. It's a different. The whole setup of the performance team, like the back end, like with the physios and the actual, the backroom staff. It's just a different professionalism at the moment, I think, and you can see that from, the social media stuff that you guys are doing right through the club, and obviously the improvements in the stadium are massive. So it's pretty exciting.
It's exciting. And it's a good place to be. Speaking just about the strikers now for a second, how important is confidence?
Oh, it's all about confidence. It's all about the feel-good factor. I think confidence comes with scoring goals and playing well, but if you go out there as a feel-good factor, if that makes sense, and if you've got the right boots on, you've got the right kit on, I think it's a massive thing. As a striker, it's all about that confidence, you say, and the feel-good factor for me. Yeah.
And other than getting back in the stand and enjoying the hospitality and enjoying the sun and relaxing, what are you looking for and what are you hoping for the afternoon to play out?
Oh, I know. I'll go the first team I look at on my Sky Sports app. So nice. I'm hoping for 3 points, and it bears well for the club, and you can see what it means to the fans, what it means. I've been into the Green Taverners today, and it's some atmosphere down here at the moment.
Amazing. Thank you very much for joining us. Very quickly, score.
3-1 Plymouth.
Perfect, we'll take it. Thank you very much, Ryan. Enjoy the game. Coming up in a moment, we'll be talking back through the lineups and building up to kickoff. Only 20 minutes away from kickoff now, so let's have a little bit of a recap of our teams. The Argyle team starting for you this afternoon, it consists of Michael Cooper, Macaulay Gillespie, Jordan Houghton, James Wilson, Dan Scarr, Joe Edwards, Ryan Hardy, Danny Mayer, Ballymumba, Finn Azaz and Adam Randall, and on the bench we will also see the likes of Callum Burton, Matt Butcher, Niall Ennis, Morgan Whitaker, Nigel Lomvike, Luke Jeffcott and Jack Endicott. We spoke a little bit before, Brian, about the subs bench. One of the subs, Jack Endicott, is an academy player, I believe, and they've been bringing him out and playing him for a few games at the start of this season. That must be really nice for not only the work that the Argyle Academy is doing, but also for him as a player as well.
Yeah, for me it's fundamental, this club, to be bringing young players through. I think that's, for me, any manager, that's part of the job description, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I think this manager and Ryan Lowe before that have done that probably more than any manager. I think this whole infrastructure of the club's a lot different, allowing that to happen. So it's good to see, and great to see he's been rewarded with a place on the bench after his performance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Ian was here, we were talking about having more subs, 5 sub rule.
Yeah.
Is it more likely that we'll then be able to see players like this coming out?
Well, 100%, because throughout the season you're going to have injuries.
Yeah.
First team players will get injured, first team players will be tired, and giving young players the opportunity. So seeing a mix in the bench will be great. I think there was Roberts on the bench as well on Wednesday night or Tuesday night. He obviously got an opportunity as well. Didn't get on, but still to get that confidence. And also what it does, it breeds confidence throughout the academy that they see young players get that opportunity.
Yeah.
So they want to be there as well, strive. It's all striving in the right direction, really.
Absolutely, yeah, it is all going in the right direction. We'll take another look at the Peterborough team now as well. We will be battling this afternoon against Lucas Bergstrom, Ronnie Edwards, Josh Knight, Frankie Kent, Jack Taylor, Johnson Clark Harris, Jack Marriott, Harrison Burrows, Hector Cipriano, Joe Ward and Ben Thompson. We've had a little look at some of the players because Argyle TV is stationed just right by the tunnel here. Some of them are pretty big guys. Are we expecting to see some battles on the pitch this afternoon?
Yeah, so the obvious battle is Scar against Clark Harris. Their captain, he looks a big old unit, as I think that's the words we described when he walked past. But yeah, that'll be a real good battle. But let's be honest, that's the battles that Scar enjoys. He likes someone up against him, playing against him. But this will be a difficult task for our 3 centre halves. These are probably the 2 most prolific scorers we'll see in this league this year. They've already, in Clark Harris, got 2 already this year. He scored 2 against Cheltenham in the first game of the season. So yeah, he's a handful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be a battle.
And we've got just a couple of minutes now before we hand over to Rob on commentary. So finally, Brian, which way do you see this afternoon going?
I think it's going to be a real close game. Mm-hmm. I really do. I predicted the score for the Barnsley game 1-0 to us, so maybe I can get it right this time. Yeah. I think this could be a draw today.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it'll be a tough game. I think whilst we want to get a win, and in front of our home fans, wins are important. But Peterborough, come the shake-up, they'll be here. They'll be up around the top of the division. So I think a draw wouldn't be a bad result.
Okay, I think, especially in this heat and with the run we've had so far, I think a draw is on the upwards turn. Thank you, Brian.
No worries.
You'll join us again at half-time. Just have a little look at some of the other games in the league now. There's lots of interesting games happening. We're going to be keeping you up to date with all of them as the match here at Home Park progresses. Argyle's opponents on Tuesday, Charlton Athletic in particular, are away to Sheffield Wednesday, so that will be one of the standout games to keep an eye on this afternoon. Now I make it 1:45, which means we are pretty much ready to hand over to the commentary team. The action just moments away, so a reminder that if you are watching on YouTube and live outside the UK, you need to head over to Argyle TV in order to watch the game. And the same applies if you are inside the UK and have the audio package. Get onto our website, select Argyle TV and click on streaming passes. At halftime today, we're going to be getting to know a little bit more about Finn Azaz, one of the highly talked about players so far this season. So stay tuned for that. But coming up next, it's the thing we're all here for, a repeat that will hopefully go our way. It is Argyle against Peterborough United, take 2, and you will now be in the company of former Argyle striker Ian Stonebridge and Rob McNichol.
What a difference a year makes. Before I signed here, I thought I had an idea, but the reality has been something else. On the field, off the field, on our day, this club is a match for anyone. Limbs at the bridge.
First ball, watch for Jeff Gott to be on the end of a second. Oh, it's 1-0! Chelsea are behind to lead 1 Plymouth. Macaulay Gillespie, the big centre-back, glancing it in.
Unforgettable.
It's in my blood. It's a massive part of me all my life. Nothing makes me prouder than the academy lads coming through. And we're only getting started.
Argyle has given me everything.
It's my hometown club.
What a feeling when the fans chant your name.
We roll with the punches.
We take pride in the shirt.
We prove people wrong.
Next up in 23rd spot is Plymouth Argyle.
We take risks.
We leave it all out there.
We are Argyle.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Argyle TV. Welcome to this afternoon's game between Plymouth Argyle and Peterborough United here at a very, very sunny home park. We're not going to belabour the point about the weather today, but suffice to say, very, very warm indeed, and sweating his way up to the press box next to me. Here's Ian Stonebridge. How are you, Stoney?
Not too bad, Rob, yeah. Unfortunately, just had to stroll from the bottom of Central Park, so I don't envy the players out there today, but no, it's a fantastic looking spectacle in front of us. The ground's filling up really nicely, so looking forward to the game.
Let's address it straight away, because it has been the talking topic of the week for various reasons, footballing and otherwise, the weather. Manager Stephen Schumacher said in the week that the players are managed in training. They've made sure they got more liquid taken on, kept in the shade, training session shorter. But he said when you cross the white line, you don't think about it, you just get on with the game. Is that true in your experience?
I think he's definitely right in that you don't think about it. I think it will definitely impact on the game today, though, and how we see the different teams approach that, how they choose to try and manage it in terms of whether it's tactically through the game, managing the pace of the game at various times. clearly that will depend on the scoreline and how that's going, but also in terms of those subs, which I know has been a really big talking point early part of this season, where there's more scope to make those changes. You can bring more players on, and that could really have a bearing on the game today.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be something as the second half looms into view. We're going to keep an eye on substitutes. Obviously the team that is behind is more likely to make more changes, but you do get the feeling that fairly low price and all 10 subs were getting used today.